your virtue is courage. And that's important, that you know exactly when to be brave and when to be wise and not jump over the wall and fight the enemy yourself. There's dumb things that Alexander did, for example, that got him wounded, essentially, and probably eventually killed him. It was because he jumped over the wall. His men were not able to get over the wall, and he got over and found himself basically surrounded with the India forces, that he ended up fighting till the others got over. I think that's when he got wounded. He ended up with fever and eventually died when he was 33, right? Interesting. Jesus died when he was. Seems like that's a significant good year. If you're going to be a heroic individual, you should die at 33. I don't know why. Good number, 33, maybe. So courage, it's important. Don't be overly bold. A fiery how, that's dangerous. You want to be sane at the same time as courageous. You don't want to run away like Falstaff. But you want to be brave enough that you get the job done, right? Prudence, which really it's traditionally called wisdom. So who are the wise? The ones at the top of the pyramid. The ones who are interested in knowledge just for the sake of knowledge alone. So in the Republic, they don't earn money from being there. So the closest thing I can think of to a real world situation where something like that happened were the monasteries during the Middle Ages. Where the monks, I had monks teaching me in high school. They lived in the monastery on the other side of the parking lot, from the high school. They got like a small stipend for, little expenses, like tobacco or something that they liked. But they were fed in the monastery. They didn't own anything. They took the vow of poverty and so on. So in a sense, that fits that kind of, the community takes care of these people so that they could do a function for the community. And for Plato, those wise, which are also called philosophers, unfortunately, in the text, were the philosopher kings. So for the Republic, Plato's text, the rule should be done by the wisest in the community, who have no interest in helping themselves, but instead are interested in the best, for the community. They're the smartest. They make the right choices, and they're not self-interested, so they're not going to steal from everyone. So in the dialogue, this turns out to be the aristocracy, right? Now, obviously, we've seen aristocracies before this and after this. So in some sense, we might say, well, he's not inventing a brand new kind of republic from whole cloth. He might be taking what he's already seen in lots of the Greek communities. They're not all like Athens, right? They all have different. Sparta is a king, and so on. So you have lots of different things. So he's kind of building a unique. This is the best kind of state. And this is where everybody would get his own. Remember, the justice is everybody getting what's properly due to them because of the characteristics that they have, right? What they like, and so on. So the aristocracy for this would be the wise, and the wise are individuals that are mostly male. Remember, Plato does argue that females could go through the same process, etc. And there are convents. So in the Western tradition, and I don't know if it's that case. Otherwise, when you think of Buddhist monks, I don't remember ever seeing a female Buddhist monk. Or in the Shinto religion, I don't know. Not that, aware of what's there. Of course, there are religions where the women are the ones in charge, right? So I think voodoo is that way. Yes, like a pagan religion and so on. Well, in any case, it is mostly male in the Republic. But in any case, so justice is the virtue of the whole state. Prudence or wisdom is the virtue of the aristocracy, the ruling class. Temperance is the virtue of the working class. And courage, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I lower the blinds?
Which one do you want?
This one. That one right there.
This one?
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Good.
Some of it's just in my eyes. Thank you. Yeah, I was just waiting for it to go around, but.
I never said, you're welcome to bring food, just don't make a mess, especially not food that chases everybody away, because some people eat food like that. You're welcome to bring devices. You're welcome, if their phone rings, please get up and answer it out. You can come and go. You don't have to speak of Michelangelo while you're doing that. That's a joke. Okay. And so on. In other words, très casual, right? If that makes sense. I do all that because I think students prefer that. Yes? If you hate it, right, you'll let me know. You guys could vote and decide you want everybody to be here promptly on time. And no, I don't think that works anymore.
Right now.
I mean, I love doing this. And I want to be able to keep doing it even though I'm getting as old as dirt. Dirt's pretty old, depending on where you get it. You can still go to the store and buy new dirt. Okay. Plus, my wife likes the money. So, you know how that works, and she lets me live there. So that's good. Okay. So Aristotle gives us all men by nature desire to know, and we end up in this one learning about the causes, and I talked about that already a little bit in the idea that there are 4 causes, that everything other people must use the board. It isn't just me. So, remember we get the 4 causes, which are oddly named for us, because we usually don't think of those as a cause necessarily, but the material substance, is one of the causes. The form of the thing is what he considers a cause, and remember the form and the idea are the Platonic, that's where that creeps over into Aristotle's model. But then he adds the efficient cause, which is what, or the tools, the working man or whoever that actually shapes this thing. Lava coming out of a volcano would work, certainly, right? And then the telos, or the purpose of the thing, because in Aristotle's system, everything fit in its place. And by the way, he didn't even think of evolution as a possibility. It seems from his works that all of his descriptions of all the different kinds of animals and everything do not show any movement in those categories, but instead feels like that's an eternal arrangement of things, right? So no evolution. Everything has always been this way and always will be. That's another criticism we could make of his Aristotle. But the next set of categories that everything participates in, so everything is, first off, has to have substance. It's his first argument, right? But then everything that we think of has quantity. How many of them are there? Or how big is it? Everything has quantity. By the way, in Latin, the word quantity is quantum. So if you're into quantum mechanics, physics, notice quantum is, well, how many particles, basically, how do they work, right? Quality, we think of quality in many ways that he's not really talking about here. Quality for him is positive or negative. So in your statements, when you're affirming a relationship or denying a relationship, affirmo is a positive, nego is the opposite. So everything has either affirmative or negative quality in more than one, kind of situation. Everything has relations. They're related in some way, spatially, time-wise, etc. Right? Bigger than, smaller than, things of that sort. Relations. Everything is in a place. And that's before the GPS system. And everything. This is instead just basically everything that exists has to be somewhere. It can't be nowhere, right? Time. And it's interesting that this organization here puts time down so low, because when we see this revisited in the Enlightenment period with Kant, time becomes the first one, actually. Because Kant argues, well, nothing we can think of or experience is not in time. Everything, even thinking about something, just sitting on a beach and just vegging out, if that's, I don't know if people still say that, that's, you're using time. Time is passing. We can't have experience without time. Position. So I'm standing, you could be sitting, lying down, cup is sitting on the table, flying through the air, Position. State. Alive, dead, fixed, I don't know. Lots of different kinds of states that a thing is in. And the action, is it doing something? Or having something done to it, actually, would be the passion, actually. So not a desk can be passionate about anything. A desk is passive. It receives your whatever you put on it and so on. It doesn't look up at you and say, hey, I don't like those. That's not the kind of passion we get. So these are all categories, but notice the interesting thing about this is everything has these kinds of categories that you can learn about it. So when you're trying to learn about things, you've got the causes, you've got these kinds of categories, and then you could break it down into, of course, more specific things than these, right? I should also mention that in the Metaphysics, Aristotle gives us a history of philosophy. So, for example, Thales. What we know about Thales that I mentioned just very, very briefly actually comes from Aristotle. Do we have texts from Thales apart from Aristotle's quoting things that he knows that Thales said? I don't think so. Maybe. But notice if you go through all of them, starting here, here's Thales, then you have Anaximenes, Diogenes, Empedocles, Anaxagoras. So all those pre-Socratics are historically known because Aristotle gives us them in his history, in his metaphysics. But notice the bias. Again, don't forget, Aristotle's biased, and the bias is towards himself. And so he basically points out that all of these men and their ideas led to him. And of course, he's the ultimate in philosophy. You don't have to go past him. He's got all the answers. They're all here in the book. And so, these folks led to me, basically. But once we get through that, all of these had their day, but they were inadequate when they led to me. And when we talk about the basic number of things, our